think a lot of people are going to be shocked when they see this because I don't think a lot of them know what I do or how I live. They only experience that when they come visit me, and I show them different ways that we've tried to look at water, we look at energy, we look at food. My nephew once said, living it with Auntie Naledi, it's difficult because throwing away a piece of paper is higher grade. You don't just go and throw in the bin. You've got to know which bin to throw into.
Nestled 12 kilometers outside of the beautiful winelands town of Stellenbosch lies the village of Lyndoch, whose community promotes eco-friendly living and values. It is here that Naledi Mabeba decided to move in 2004 after years of urban living in Gauteng.
A friend of mine, who's a co-founder of this village, invited me to come and be part of working here. And then as time went on, I came down during holidays to come and work with the teachers here and then go back to Joburg. But eventually I decided, this is what I want to be. Laid back, and very different from Gauteng. And so I moved down here. What I liked is because it's mixed income, mixed race, mixed, a lot of things that are, mixed ways of thinking as well, mixed cultures as well. It's the first one in its kind in South Africa, whereby even people who were supposed to get sort of RDP houses got houses.
Being an eco-village, sustainability is key for us. As a matter of fact, we feel that sustainability is the way that we can contribute to making this a better world. Because the moment something is sustainable, it can take care of itself. Like our natural environment, it's divinely designed to take care of itself. So in an eco-village, we encourage those systems that we can work with the earth in order to not destroy the earth, but rather contribute to the earth.
All the building materials used to build the homes in Lyndoch are sourced not only to reduce the financial costs, but also with the aim of footprint reduction.
We were taken on a trip to go and see different ways of building. I've never heard of different ways of building. I just thought, what are they saying? What are they talking about? And we went to McGregor and we saw different houses, different ways of building. It was amazing. And this one house was so nice and fresh and cool inside. And that immediate change of temperatures for me, that's what stood with me. And I said, this is what I want to have. And that's one of the reasons why I have a clay house. We helped with the design of the houses. So in Gauteng, I've had 2 houses already, but even those houses, the architect did all the work. I never understood how you can get involved in your own house. And here, I was involved in understanding how to position your house, how to put things in how best to have your house, the window size and all that. You can still have big windows, but it's up to you really. But it mustn't be too big because then all the sunlight will come in and go out through the window at the same time. So you've got to find ways of making sure that once the heat is inside, how to keep it inside. And if it's outside also, when you don't need it to be inside, what do you do to make sure that it stays outside? We used an adobe brick. An adobe brick is a clay and straw. It's not compressed with a machine or anything. It's just used. You just make a frame out of wood and make the bricks out of it, and then you just lay them there, and then it's sun-dried, And then once they are dry, then they use, so we only have the concrete up to the foundation. And then after the concrete foundation, we have used adobe bricks. And then for plastering, we used lime and also mud, with clay and lime, just to help with the plastering of the walls as well. So there is no cement on top here. And so, yeah, so the house was built in 2005, so it's still standing even today. So it's not about to fall or anything. So it's still standing, and I love it in summer because it's so cool. It gets very hot in there, especially in the Boland area here. It gets so hot. If it's 35 in Cape Town, so you must know that it will be 38, 40 on this side. So. Then I have my coolest house. It's very cool. The house behind me is made out of sandbags, and for plastering they used cement, and mesh wire, just to keep the cement in. And this one here, they had to bring a certificate to show that the wood that they got to build the house was from a sustainable forest. And then mine, obviously, is clay and straw. This one here is also a sandbag house. Your next one, they used crushed rubble, then put into making bricks, and then after that, they built the house with it.
After raising her 4 children in Soweto, Johannesburg, 13 years ago, they all packed up and moved to the Western Cape. With her children grown and out of the house, Naledi relishes having her mother and aunt around.
It's only been 59 centimeters.
Yeah.
And then he give the front part.
Okay.
Living here brought a lot of nostalgia because we grew up in Lesotho and, in rural areas, and we were just on the outside. And when I came here, it was, the most intriguing part was early in the morning. You hear all kind of birds, you hear the guinea fowls, a sound that is, you can never get that in Joburg. Since I came here, I don't even need to go to the doctor so often. How many times have I been to the doctor since I came here? Because I have a problematic chest. But around here, I'm just relaxed, I'm okay.
Yeah, so but wa borona ba leng hore ba dula mo villaging na ba sa utlwisisi matlwana a nang a entsweng ka letsopa bona bana Transkei mo la ha o sheba TV man na le matlo a leng hore a sa batla o wa a sa sikame ona o se nahana lo yona ntwene hore matlo a jwalo. So honaje ha ba elelo, you can even make a double story ka letsopa. It's amazing. And honaje batho ba lapile mare motho hana una le jarete ana le jarete, so ke yona ntho e bontshang hore hachi ba tseba mmuso le jwale but jwanong ke ntho e leng hore ha e sa le jwale. But ba tsore ke modernization ke yona ntho e leng ga ke lo le batla ntho di be modern. So ba re jweditse hore ntho tsene tse ne re di etsa tsele, they are not cool. So it's hard and because whenever we are ba bontsha hore tshwantse we get the borotho ba hao, we get the dijo tsa hao from o tlo no phela healthier.
Earlier, we met Naledi Mabeba, who after years of city life in Johannesburg, moved her family to the eco-village of Lyndoch in the Western Cape in search of a more sustainable way of life. The term off the grid can refer to living in a self-sufficient manner, without reliance on one or more public utilities. People who adopt this lifestyle are often called off-gridders. As early as 3000 BC, when the first civilizations arose in southern Mesopotamia and Egypt, archaeological evidence suggests cities practiced intensive year-round agriculture. In the 18th century, as a result of the Industrial Revolution, coal was now used to generate electricity, which facilitated modern advancement in sanitation and medicine. This led to the protection of large population from disease, which in turn led to a human population explosion. In the late 19th century, the environmental movement started as a response to the increasing levels of smoke pollution and large volume of chemical discharge caused by the Industrial Revolution. Ecology now gained acceptance, and many concepts vital to sustainability were being explored. The climate movement, started after World War II, began to recognize the costs of environmental negligence, disease, and the expansion of air and water pollution through the occurrence of several environmental disasters after the war. In 1954, the publication of Living the Good Life by Helen and Scott Nearing marked the beginning of the modern-day sustainable living movement. The publication paved the way for the Back to the Land movement of the late 1960s and early 1970s. With increasing signs of global climate change, the idea of living off the grid has become more and more popular as human beings are trying to find a way to sustain themselves without any negative consequences. Ironically, because many third world citizens have never had the chance to go on the grid, current estimates are that 1.7 billion people live off the grid worldwide. Usually, when someone says they are going to live off the grid, you expect them to be wealthy. But there are people challenging this discourse. One of them, Ricardo Fortune. The father of three is part of a Rastafarian community who lives close to the mountainside behind Ocean View in the Southern Peninsula. At the moment, his home is largely powered by solar energy.
From the panels, we've got the 4 panels coming into the, it's an outback power system. It's an 80 amp regulator. Okay. So this one pushes out maximum of 80 amps, and you don't even use 80 amps in your household. We normally go up to 40 amps maximum if we're doing any baking or heavy appliances running and so forth. You'll never climax to that. And then we've got the hybrid inverter here. This one is where the 2 panels is coming directly into here, where it uses more volts than what it trickles to amps, due to the way the system is designed. And you have got the option where you can actually have ESCOM. Every appliance in the house itself, every light, every plug circuit that is in the house, if there's a microwave plugged in, if there's a fridge plugged in. So you calculate all the amps that it's using, all the watts, and then you need to work out a system that will accommodate everything. We're using basically 7% of the battery's capacity. We've got the DSTV, we've got the OpenView, it's also similar to the DSTV, then I've got a surveillance, and then we've got the actual TV itself. I'm still running in my little office here. As you can see, I've got my laptop running. We've got the printer going, and we've got music appliances as well if we want to. I've got some lighting. It's basically everything that every household uses every day. The necessity, not the kettle we cook on gas. So that with you having a kettle here, it would be 2,000 watts. I've got the microwave, but the microwave is also on ESCOM, because it's only when you're going to need a heating component. It's not something that will... And you don't want to use the microwave at nighttime, because then you're going to be draining your batteries. Even though it's for a short period of time, you're draining more current out of the batteries than what the lighting would be doing in an hour. It's 20% load on the batteries itself. So on your capacity, looking at, say 5 to 7 hours if everything is constantly on without the charge. But luckily for us, it's still in the day, so we've got the panels keeping the charge on. I met my wife, and then she fell pregnant. Then I had to step up basically, because I couldn't just raise a child and not have anything or anything. Have no benefits basically at the time as well. So it was an uphill battle for me. From there we moved around a bit. We're staying, many areas. We were staying at the top in front of the Rasta camp. We were staying there for a couple of months. Then we moved down to a flat couple of months. From there we moved again, further down, another flat couple of months. And I told her, look, well, all this up and downing, and she was still pregnant at the time. We need to get something stabilized. We can't go up and down and move around. Then we moved to a mother's place. Then we did the final move, which was moving up into the Rasta camp. Finally, we had our own place. It was up basically in nowhere. No running water. There's no toilets, no electricity. It's basically off-grid and out of the system. We stayed there for, it was about 6 or 7 years. But in the Rasta camp, it wasn't too bad. It was very nice. I prefer the camp than the house that I'm living in now, due to the freedom and being one with nature. Because you wake up, you're in the outdoors, you come home to the outdoors. You only go to work in the system. For the first year and a half, we didn't have any electricity. But I was solving everybody else's puzzles. We had a small generator, 5-liter petrol, and there you go, one evening. Every evening you need a 5-liter. It was like 50 Rand a 5-liter. 50 Rand for the evening, and people were spending 10 Rand an evening on electricity at the time. So for us it wasn't too economical, but with living in the mountain, there's nothing. And I had burning candles because it's a risk factor. Slight wind can just brush past, it blows the candle over, it starts a fire with you not even knowing you're busy cooking in a different area. It's very hazardous with all those chemicals, and with me having asthma, all those fumes is not economical to your chest. And with being a Rastaman as well, you try to be as natural as possible. I started moving around, and I saw Benjamin. He had a small panel and he had a battery. And I asked him, like, hey, how's this working? Because I see you've got a light burning, I don't hear no generator, and there's some music playing around, so what's up? I knew about the solar at the time, but I didn't think that it wasn't. I thought maybe now you needed millions first to start up to get the system. But then with seeing his system, I told myself, but now I can calculate something that can suit us also for the time. Started out with a small battery. We had a 12-volt light. I still had to come to my mother's place, charge it up, because I didn't have enough funding for paneling. A friend of mine came, told me, look, they need an electrician here. I thought, okay, now good shot, since I need some solar stuff and things. I'm gonna, even if I just do the work to get a panel or a battery, or just to get some knowledge about the system, it can be expensive and it can be very difficult if you're not knowing what you're doing, because you can basically buy you a system, waste your money, and still not get what you want. So you need to know exactly, first of all, you need to get your house ready if you want to change over to solar. It's going to start out to be expensive, but within getting your house ready with the changeover to solar, you're changing everything to energy efficient, meaning you're already going to save even if you're on Eskom. So people need to start thinking not on what they're going to spend, but what they're going to be saving in the long run.
Having grown up in Ocean View, Ricardo's family never thought that he would end up living and promoting this self-sustainable lifestyle.
Ricardo was 'n baie stolkind geweest. Een van die kleins was hy baie lief vir karre, speel met sy karretjies en pad. Hy was 'n baie slim kind op skool, ja. Ek het nooit 'n klag gekry van die skool of die vansap tot hy sy matriek klaar gemaak het. Hoe hy's 'n baie goeie kind. Die kan indag hy kan verkeerd gaan aan die huis en kan ek net op sy nommer druk. He's always there for me. Alles aan die huis en sy hande weet. Tot op my jaar by sy hande weet. Ik had nooit geweet dat hij zal zo kan voor mij één dag uitdraaien. Regtig waar. Nooit met verkeer of vrienden gemengd en zo niet. Maar hij heeft een biertje gedronken en die groen geroepen. Hij heeft aan voor mij geweest dat hij een kind is voor mij.
Before the break, we met Ricardo Fortune, a member of the Rastafarian community of Ocean View, whose home is powered by solar energy.
Keisha, where's your papier? Jay's me clan in my book.
Line Dock is a mixed community of 15 families from diverse racial and socio-economic groups. The village is built around a child-centered learning precinct. Naledi is the program coordinator and principal of the Line Dock Early Learning Center.
What I also like about Montessori is that it starts with a whole. Everything, you start from having the whole and then you divide it further. Let's say I'm doing geography. Before I even go and learn about South Africa, I need to know about the globe of the world, that it's divided into two. There's land and water. That's my first lesson. And after I've understood that, then I can break it further into continents or the continent that I'm living in. And then that's when I can also eventually come to South Africa. I got into Montessori accidentally. I was at home, just had my first child, who was 3 weeks old at that time. There was a after-school care program running close by, and the person who's supposed to be working with the children on that day didn't pitch. I happened to be home, and somebody said, okay, Naledi can come and help. So I started going there, and I did courses around cognitive development and learning more about educare. And the minute I read about Montessori, I just loved it. All my children have gone through the Montessori system, and I find that a lot of things that I couldn't understand in high school, after doing the course, I started understanding them better. And I understood where the problems were in my education system that made it difficult for me to understand. And now that I could see the material, I could feel it, I can, it's more concrete. It made so much sense for me and for any other child that I've worked with ever. So I just wanted to find out, how did it go this morning with the children?
After breakfast, you do Tai Chi with the children, and then you go to a garden and you walk around, eat plants, and go to the labyrinth.
You went to the labyrinth?
Yes.
And were the children excited about it?
Yeah, it was very excited, and it was very quiet, and talk about what kind of plants we see when walking through the garden.
You've been busy with simple and compound leaf.
Simple leaf and compound leaf. And we take a nature walk to the tree. We found a guava tree, and I showed them the simple leaf, and I let them taste the fruit coming from the tree. And the tree is giving us shades as well, and it's a house for the birds. They're making a nest there. And then I also teach them about the color of the leaf.
Okay. Yes. You cannot force a child to say, look, today you're going to work and do this.
But if you tell him, but I don't want to be inside.
So then you go with the child outside and work with the child where he wants to be and plan around that so that you can include all the information that the child needs to know, but doing it from where the child is. Our system is such that we one-to-one, and sometimes you don't reach all the children, but then you've got to make sure that you don't neglect any other children that are out there.
Het is heerlijk om samen met Naledi te werken. Is goed in die klas wat ik geweet het niet, wat zij voor mij geleerd het. En ze heeft mij op een training gezet op level 4, wat ik baie goed overvoer. Dus ik kan enige tijd voor advice vragen, ze zal het wel geven. Ze is amper zoals een ma voor mij. Ik kan mensen een beetje ma. Baie sagge aard. Ze kan baie streng wees as sy streng wil wees. Ek is maar oas, ek het 'n goeie persoonlikheid. Sy gee my baie advies om met kinders. As ek nou nie weet hoe om met hulle te werk, sal sy vir my sê, praat met hulle daaroor of praat.
Michelle Present is a PhD candidate in environmental humanities, as well as an environmental policy analyst and socio-ecology activist.
For me personally, climate change should be a sign, it should be signaling that something's very, very wrong with the world and how we organize and how we consume and produce or live on this planet. How do we as people learn from other cultures that didn't think about nature in a way that's sort of separate and out there and that can be used for our eternal economic and human development. People are generally kind of so locked into, in a way, their own kind of survival. Things have become so expensive, so they keep kind of working to pay electricity or pay for school or pay for cars and transport when we should be asking how we reorganize our communities. I think we have to have a system for redistribution in this country, and which we haven't quite had. So in a way, those who have more need to give more, and that again has to be kind of facilitated in a way so that the giving doesn't result into a sense of entitlement. So we have very little options or policy options in the country, or really little space for debate. So for example, the energy or electricity. If more is needed, then we should be having big public discussions on what are the possibility. But it's very top down and authoritarian. So government comes up with like nuclear. That's where we're going, or with the land reform, that small-scale farmers must aim to be commercial farmers, and if you don't use it, the land, you lose it. So there has to be debates for a more kind of plural society, and so subsidies would be kind of one option to ensure a sense of redistribution. Off the grid needs to become a kind of mainstream culture in a sense, and so that it begins to change the system, and not remain in this little kind of pockets of a kind of eco village, or those that can afford to go off the grid, and so, but we also have to demand that kind of space to have these debates, in our local government meetings, which is very limited at the moment.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
In the waste yard.
Yeah. What's up?
What's up? Look at it. What a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
when we first started, it didn't look like this, and it didn't smell like that.
We couldn't even come in.
Eh? You couldn't even, you ignore the place,
yeah.
I remember. We do try to open all the bags to do recycling on the best as you can see. So we got the e-waste out, and we never had that privilege to have that before.
Yeah.
But as you see, we've got also other problems with maybe rats problems and whatever the case may be. And then we built this little cage, all with recycled material, to try and store everything that has to go to landfill in a little cage.
Okay.
So the rats cannot get to it. So it's completely sealed off, and we won the war.
Initially, how much did we send to the landfill before? A lot.
Well, we started in the beginning when we didn't have the
sent
people.
Everything, yeah, we sent everything.
We just moved most of them away, and it was about 2 tons twice a month sometimes. Yeah. It depends on the people that visits the village. And it's back to about, it's going down. We went down to almost 1 ton a month, or maybe less. Also, we deal with the food waste as well. It's not just the recyclables, it's not just the landfill.
And so the food
but
waste?
We put it back into compost and to make our ground more fertilized with all the food waste and all the other stuff that we collect from the houses.
Is that on out? There's another person.
Lion Dog Village prides itself on their many recycling initiatives, including reducing the amount of waste that goes to the municipal landfill, as well as their water recycling system, whereby all their grey water is treated to be beneficially reused for irrigating gardens and food lots.
Not the bricks, my darling. The bricks don't need to have water. And my spinach has been eaten by guinea fowls a lot. So, so even if we're watering it now, it's just to make sure that they can still come and be here. And then I've got peppers now, green peppers. And then I've got tomatoes that I'm harvesting and I'm eating from them now and then. And actually, Babalo is the one who harvests them and eats them. So in the summer, it's quite nice because there's a lot of variety in terms of my veggies. But for now, it's not, so we just have to do with what we can. This is reclaimed water. Black water is the water from the toilets when we flush, or grey water from your washing dishes, from showering and all that. Nothing goes to waste here. We get fresh water from our municipality, and then from there the water goes into our houses. Every 2 houses have got share a septic tank. So all the grey water and the black water go into the septic tank. From the septic tanks, it comes into where we're standing right now. That's when the water starts getting sifted. Once the sifting has happened, then it moves into the wetland. It's not your normal wetland, they call it vertical wetland. It's man-made, and also because, you know, there are layers that are being, there's sand, there's stones that have been laid every time to make sure that it's what it is. And with the plants that are here also, it just helps to clean the water. It's another process. The plants that have been planted here are planted on purpose just to help clean the water so that we can be able to bring them back into our houses for irrigation and for flushing. So we don't flush our fresh water. My water bill has never been over 100 rand. So for me, you just see it in that when people are saying I'm paying 300 rand or 500 rand for water bill, my water bill has never been, if it's a lot, then it's 105 maybe, but that's it.
Earlier, we saw how Naledi has used his skills as a passionate educator to transfer the environmental practices of the village onto the next generation. Ricardo is a trained electrician and runs his own small business. More and more of his work is trying to help people get as off-grid as possible. Today, he is installing an inverter for a client.
This started many years ago when I was still a toddler, actually. In my bedroom, we had a plug, and the plug wasn't working. So what I did, I had a small television that I wanted to have work there, and we never had extension cords at the time and so forth. Then I started fiddling. I took a button off and I opened up the plug, not knowing the dangers of what I'm busy with. And then I came to seeing that there was a wire loose. Well, while tying this wire with the button, that's when I got my first electric shock. And it was extremely painful, but to me it was a rush. I got a thrill. It was like, nah, what did I experience now? I don't want to experience it again, but it wasn't that bad. It was like riding a bicycle and falling off it. You just want to get on it again and feel that rush again. 10 o'clock now, then your power is complete. For me, electrical work isn't like a duty. To me, it's like a passion. I like solving problems, like puzzles. If there's a problem in your house, your power is tripping or something. To me, I can physically see the current, so to say. I'll tell you, okay, now ma'am, just explain to me what was the last cause, what did you do before it tripped? It's like a doctor asking you, when you cough, does it hurt here, or what's happening? So I'm the house doctor when it comes to that. When I lived with my grandparents, there wasn't too much education at the time around, so there wasn't anybody knowing how to fix things. They were more carpentry skilled and fishermen in the house, so there wasn't technical people around at the time. Off the grid for me is basically not being dependent on Eskom itself. No, like even when it comes to the sun, you can't basically depend on that, so you need to have your own backup. Even the sun needs a backup, that's why we have the wind. So if there's no sun, there has to be wind, or if Eskom can't feed in, then you'll use your solar. If solar kicks out, then we'll go back to the wind itself. So you can set up your system where you can basically be off the grid, but you have everybody as a standby.
The village often holds community events, and in the spirit of the season, they are meeting up in order to celebrate the coming of winter.
Our forefathers celebrated so much. When it was harvesting time, they also celebrated. So they celebrated almost everything. And now we don't. And also our celebrations becomes only with alcohol and that's it. And so here we're saying, look, we need to celebrate those important events like having winter and appreciating it. Little rain that has come, we need to celebrate that.
I've lived at Landock since, well, I started here in 2000. It's just about everyday life, doing things, ordinary things, and trying to do them in slightly different ways. I've known her since 1992, and we worked together in Gauteng. And then when I started this place, I really wanted someone to come down who I knew was going to be with children in different ways. And so I said to her, come. And she came with her children, and we started working at the Sustainability Institute. We founded that, and then the village as well. And so we've worked together a very, very long journey. But this place wouldn't be this place without her.
I'm was van die kerk. Ek bly nou al van 2006 hier by Landock. Ja, het is like hemel op aarde. Dat is in 38 jaar was het de eerste keer wat ik hier zit, wat ik kan zeggen. Je weet, ik kom van die plaatsen af waar die huis was nooit ons huis. Of nooit mijn ma en mijn pa huis. Maar nu kan ik zeggen, dat is mijn huis. Mijn familie en mijn kinders. Jy weet mos as jy van die plaas af kom, hulle gebruik mos mooi woorde soos sustainable living, maar ons het al die jare so gelewe man. Kyk, ons het gelewe van die koolstowwe en elektrisiteit was nie 'n issue nie. Dit is nou 'n issue.
And everybody here tonight to our first in a long time winter festival. And it will be the first of many festivals. We will have a seasonal festival every season. So the next one will be in spring. And by the looks of things, it's going to be, if it's anything like this, it's going to be awesome as well. I've been living here for a year now. And I'm loving it. It's part of a longer term dream that's unfolding. My wife is a Waldorf teacher. She is, and she's just up the road, and I'm a musician by profession, but sustainability and eco-living has always been a thing.
Welcome. Yes, welcome. Many times, yes.
Many times.
It's
so nice to have you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you for doing a proper welcome. That's so awesome. Thank you.
It has to be special. We
it's
want
amazing.
it to be special. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're up the top, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just at
I'll
the
come
top,
looking
yeah.
for you. I want to chat to you sometime.
I'm so excited to have new neighbors.
Good.
I'm looking forward.
I've met all of you.
So yes.
You work in the school?
Yes, I work in the
Yeah,
school. But next week I'm not around. I'm
Okay.
only coming back from the 17th. Yeah. Okay, see you.
Before the break, we saw how Ricardo is trying to use his skills as an electrician to help others get off the grid. And we also saw Naledi and her neighbors get together to celebrate the coming of winter. Ricardo is helping his fellow Rastafarian community member and friend, Benjamin, install a wind turbine at his home. He tries to use his skill set as much as possible to help his surrounding community, and this wind turbine will go towards helping Benjamin and his family become more self-sustainable.
This is a 300 to 500 watt turbine. So pending the size controller unit you got, that is the amount of current that you can basically input. This head goes up to 500 watts. Here we go. Just spreading propaganda. That's why we stand together. Up we go. Slowly. Just hold him there. Okay, can lower him. Just hold him. That's a 10.
Our parents lived in a very natural way where there was no waste. Everything that they did went back to the ground. And then modernization came through and consumerism, and they told us, that's the society I'm talking about, that told us that we were living backward, basically. And now you come to this day and age whereby you look at things happen, and the natural way is the best way. It's tough because when you compare it with people poverty, for instance, a person who's living in a shack, all they aspire is to live in a big house. But you don't realize that living in a big house can be different if you make your own house out of clay and straw, or out of sandbags, or whatever way you can still have your big house. I think I became much more healthier when I started living in this way, because when I came to the Western Cape, then I was diagnosed with diabetes. So I had to change the way I eat, the way I, look at my food differently. And so you don't need to be a hippie to eat differently, to eat healthier.
Now, in the future, it will be preferable for them to get an understanding, to know more or less what's up with the solar systems, what's happening with wind systems, because it's using the environment to your necessity, which is your everyday usage, where the sun shines every day, the wind is blowing, and various things that you can do. So if everybody in every household can just have a small understanding of how to cope with it's like your daily need. If you need to switch on the light at night time, so if you can fathom some sort of small system in your own household, each person, if it's just a battery with a light bulb, just to can have the understanding of how to not be in the dark or not to have a glass of water to drink. We're going to need to solve basically using water more sparingly and how to respect water for the actual usage that we needed, because in the beginning it was disregarded, it was too much in abundance. But now there's a scarcity, so you can't even waste like a liter water anymore without thinking where you're going to get it again. And with no rain coming, it's not a good issue.
Whether you follow the method of trying to create socially diverse ecological communities, or you follow other philosophies where your main focus is to live in peace with and respect nature, all of these approaches provide insight into what it means to build up from below the foundations in order to create a more sustainable world. Both Naledi and Ricardo believe that there can be no real sustainable living, no matter how efficient your energy usage and waste management systems are, if society remains unequal and unjust. That is why both of them try through educating, helping and leading by example in their communities, in the hope of trying to redress this imbalance.